So today we are recording the low intermediate intervention for the Fibonacci theme, and everyone will participate 3 times with an interesting topic also related to Fibonacci, and this is low intermediate section B. Okay, so let's start. Who wants to give their first? Okay, Jose.
Fibonacci is an increment sequence. For example, in math, the number is calculated by summing up the last 2 numbers. For example, if we have the number 1 and 1, the third number can be it's 2 because the sum of the last number is 2 and that's. And the same process for the last number.
Okay, someone else wants to participate? Nazareth?
Yeah, according to Jose, in use Fibonacci in mathematics, these numbers also give the solution to certain enumerated problems.
Eileen?
Fibonacci we can use in a lot of things. For example, we can see the cancer solve division.
Caroline?
Also, we can use the Fibonacci problems math with natures as roses and bone different kinds in our environment. It's important to know this system because we are farmers and we have to know how to use math with this kind of things.
And the sunflowers that have 55 spirals of a sense and 89 to other sense. This is a spiral of Fibonacci.
One example of Fibonacci is the atoms when to insert in atoms and produce organs and other cells and the other persons and animals.
If we want to know about Fibonacci, we must know who was it. He was an Italian person. His name is Leonardo of Pisa, who was very known as Fibonacci, and he lived 1170 to 1240.
Fibonacci numbers can be found in bananas and pineapples. That is another example. And banana have 3 to 5 flat sides, and pineapples can have Fibonacci spiral in the set of 8, 13, and 21.
Yeah, and the number of spirals that can be seen in numerous varieties of flowers and fruits also confers to consecutive pairs of terms of the succession. For example, the sunflower.
An example of the flowers, I have a margarita. This presents a seed in the form of 21 and 34 spirals.
Well, I want to give another example. Using the terms of Fibonacci succession, we can draw a rectangle of equal dimensions to the terms of the succession expression, for example, in centimeters. For this reason, we can see a puzzle of a puzzle forming spars of progressive major size. The explanation is simple. Adding the products of the consecutive terms of the succession. That is the form.
Coming back with the example in the nature, my example of the Fibonacci sequence is the reproduction of the cactus. Since one left of seed is known and reproduced above another in a limited space.
I have an example for Fibonacci in the pineapple. The sequence of the spiral of the pineapple is very interesting because it's like Fibonacci. For example, in the left have 5 or 30 running spiral, and the right have 21 spiral like Fibonacci.
Another example is the way in which the leaves or branches are distributed in the trees. They are placed in spiral form to take advantage of the light of the sun.
Fibonacci said that the origin of mathematics lies in nature. It was thence the observation of the environment developed the science. And although we think we can sometimes forget the relation of object nature itself, take care of remind us of it.
In the human body, we can say the Fibonacci sequence. The head is 1, the neck 1, arms 2, arm, forearm, and hand 3, and the 5 fingers.
A good example of Fibonacci in the nature can be the rabbit's reproduction.
Also, inside the fruit of many plants, we can see the Fibonacci order. For example, the banana has 3 sections and an apple has 5 sections.
Okay, according to Kathy, the bones that form the fingers of the hand are in the same proportion as the numbers 2, 3, 5, and 8.
One example from animals is the American giant mutant. The Fibonacci is thought to be the sign of last resistance.
I have another example, the Fibonacci in the rabbit. This sequence serves to know the number of pairs rabbit that will be in the rabbit's month, and also to know if the reproduce continues, as well as if each pair of rabbits produce a new pair of rabbit.
I have another idea. For example, in tree, we can see the structure of the rings, how grow out of the tree, and have a logical sequence in the tree.
The succession of Fibonacci is closely related with the nature. Some people claim that Leonardo found these numbers when he studied rabbit population, and it is quite possible that it is so.
Another example is in the body. The bone of our body is according to the distance. For example, in the fingers, the distance is 2 centimeters plus 1 is the last one is equal to 3 centimeters, and the other part of the bone is 8 centimeters because the 5 centimeters plus 3 centimeters is equal to 8 centimeters.
I think Fibonacci is used more for vegetables. For example, there is a vegetable called the Romanesco, closely related to broccoli, and that has some pretty stunning spirals.
The Fibonacci sequence is a very interesting topic. I had no idea that it existed, and when I was investigating, I thought it did not make sense, but by natural example, they have sequence logic.
Other example I like is the main of the bee, or the people call Zangano. They don't have father. They other have one mother to run father and the second. For it's like Fibonacci.
Well, this time for me is new. The truth seems to me very interesting to observe so much connection between mathematics and nature.
Some breaching plants have this Fibonacci form in the design that provide them the best physical accommodation for the number of the branches and will maximize the sun's exposure. Other example is if you divide the seconds of numbers, the result of this is the number 1.688 one. This is the name is the golden number.
I think it is very important to know that no matter what example is, the sum of 10 consecutive any elements of this sequence of Fibonacci is equal to 11 times the 7th element of this group, and it's not necessary to begin at the first.
Yeah, I think Fibonacci can also be used in architecture. For example, the golden radio is denoted by the Greek letter P, and Greek architects use the radio when P has an integral part of their designs, including the Parthenon in Athens.
Another example is the size of the arm. The same size of one is the same of the other arm.
Other example of Fibonacci and the spiral solaris in the plant is the Fibonacci help to understand the rotate of the planets in the atmosphere.
Okay, the pine cones or pineapple have a spiral phytotaxis. Uses an angle of 137 degrees to position each C form.
The other example about the rabbits with reproduction is each month the number of pairs in the sum of the numbers of the previous 2 months.
Inside the fruit of many plants, we can observe the presence of Fibonacci order. For example, the banana has 3 sections and the apple has 5 sections.
The Fibonacci sequence can also be in the way of tree branches from or split a main trunk we grow only to produce a branch we create to grow points.
Something that caught my attention is that the Fibonacci is up in natural phenomena, like in the 18 tropical cyclone of the 2012 season occurred the form of the Fibonacci spiral.
Leonardo of Pisa discovered in the 13th century this number sequence that starts at 0 and 1, and seeing that every number is the sum of previous 2. Since then, the Fibonacci series has been used in music, architecture, painting, and other arts, imitating the aromatic effect which manifests itself in designs.
With the art sample of my college, I had realized that the sequence of Fibonacci is more common than I imagined. That to this topic, we can relate the mathematics to the natural.
Another example is, for example, in animal. The dolphin has the sequence, for example, in the eyes, tail, or in another part in this animal has the sequence in Fibonacci.
And one of the properties say that since the symptoms of the first terms occupying the odd position of the same, if the first 4 terms that obscure the odd position of the 8th term, and so on.
The Fibonacci is demonstrated by 2 ways. For example, in the form of spirals or cone, for example, in the nature about the rabbit is referred to the born of this type of animal, and the weather is used in hurricanes.
I think Fibonacci is so important because make easier the things, and we can count the things. I don't know, since Fibonacci nature.
Okay, another example for Fibonacci is in plants, and leaves of plants are more or less efficient to trap as much sunlight as possible according to the way or the position around the stem.
Speaking of Pony B, they follow Fibonacci in other interesting way. The most profound example is by dividing the number of baseball in the colony by the number of males.
Although exceptions to the Fibonacci rule are not difficult to find, the numbers of life are so frequently in nature that they can be explained by chance. There must be a general law of symmetry and beauty, or there must be a perfect combination of the biology of beauty and the mathematics of action. Thank you.
The DNA molecule measures 34 angstroms, belonged by 21 angstroms, with for each full cycle of its double helix period. These numbers 34 and 21 are numbers to Fibonacci sequence.
The Fibonacci appears in the smallest to the largest object in nature. It is a way of information on how to flow in a very efficient manner, and also there is an example of a microscope view of the ovary of anglerfish.
The Fibonacci sequence can also be graphed as a spiral. The radius between that of two consecutive segments is equal to the golden radius.
Our example of Fibonacci is very important because need to do many figures and pyramids. Example is of the in Egypt.
This system has conjoined the science with the nature, and we can demonstrate the origin of the matter is the nature.
The Fibonacci when Leonardo Pisa created this type of sequence, the people doesn't believe him, and now in the actuality, the Fibonacci is very important for the nature and another thing.
Like my classmates say about the sunflower, the most frequently cited example is that the great majority of which has 55 spirals in one sense and 89 in the other, or 89 and 144 respectively.
The other example of the Fibonacci spiral is the location from Giza pyramid. If you remember, it was the seventh wonder of the world.
Some fruit accommodate their seed in a certain way, which allows them great efficiency in their reproduction.
Well, in my opinion, this sequence of numbers is very interesting because it's in all parts, but to see this sequence you need to be creative and you need to be different than other person, because for example you can see a honeycomb but you can't see the sequence that we have in this house. For example, in the hexagonal has this own sequence in Fibonacci.
Many of the flowers design hide the most exciting mathematical concepts, such as the Fibonacci sequence. This time it is the flowers that make us see the mathematical profession.
On many plants, the numbers of petals are in Fibonacci order. For example, buttercups have 5 petals, lilies and iris have 3 petals.
In animals, many different living things share the body proportion patterns that we do. Some examples include dolphins, tigers, ants, and penguins.
Another example is when a attractive girl flips her hair with hair, the water streams form in a Fibonacci spiral.
In an example of
the Fibonacci, a characteristic more. It's if a number has no factors except one and itself, then it is called a prime number.
N is a positive entire number of that means is n is a number of Fibonacci if and only if form a perfect square. So for that reason we can see Fibonacci in our faces, for example, in the distance between our eyes and our nose and our mouth, and even between our eyes. Even the microscopic realm is not immune to Fibonacci. The DNA molecule measures 34 Armstrong long by 21 Armstrong wide for each full cycle of this double helix spiral.
One of the things that draw in the rule is that the spiral of the sequence of the Fibonacci is very important because you can see the sequence of the numbers that you have like 2, 3, 5, 8, 5 plus 8. Here's 2.
It's important to know because we are farmers and have to know that rules that nature can bring us. Also, we have to keep an eye on and try to understand that amazing system.
The sequence of Fibonacci also operates in art because rectangular and the sense as a spiral is construct that is very similar to the golden or longitude spiral.
Another example of Fibonacci is the rabbits. The sequence is the same of the sunflowers.
Okay, so I think all of the students have their participation. I think it was a great conversation, and I hope that you find it interesting and they did a good job. Thank you.